So we're talking about Facebook here. Now, yesterday on the show, we talked about how they are planning to relaunch. They've got their Novi wallet. They're partnering with Paxos, a stablecoin, rather than releasing their own at this point in time. Now, when Facebook first announced that they were getting involved with digital currencies, lawmakers went crazy and said, you need to stop this immediately. Well, they said, okay, well, we won't launch until we have official approval and we get the right licenses and all this. Now, all these years later, they decided, okay, well, we're still not going to launch our own stablecoin, but we're going to partner with these other guys. We're just going to launch a wallet. That still isn't good enough for lawmakers who have demanded that they cease all production on this and not launch their new Novi wallet. So pretty interesting, especially the rhetoric that they're coming out with, which is, again, it's all about like protecting customers, and we can't have financial instability, and we don't trust Facebook, to run currency, but we can trust the Senate. So some interesting things here to dive into. I'm going to throw this to you, Will, for your thoughts. It's not surprising, right?
I'll give the educated take to Mr. Seward in a second, but I will give just the harebrained take. This is just so hilarious to see that the only time Congress is interested in cryptocurrency is when Zuckerberg's name is attached to it. It doesn't matter like what else is going on, Tether, Bitcoin, ETFs, who cares? They don't care at all. Zuckerberg gets involved and they're like, oh, we gotta stamp down on this. This guy's gonna like really mess everything up for everybody. It makes no sense to me. There's tons of stable coins already out on the market. It's a huge industry it's like its own right at this point. There's already this DeFi market that has popped onto the scene because of stable coins, and now they're interested because of Zuckerberg. This reminds me a lot of 2 weeks ago with a Finsta comment from that senator. He was asking an Instagram executive to shut down Finsta because he didn't know what a Finstagram was, like a fake Instagram account. He had no idea what that was, and he was demanding that Instagram shut down Finstas. Well, we have the same thing here. It's just like they're hilarious. Like, Zuckerberg controls Bitcoin, and now they're going after it. Whatever. Zach, I'll throw it to you.
I mean, I think that is a smart take. I think yesterday we were sort of wondering if, Novi decided to launch this on the day of the Bitcoin futures ETF so that something like this wouldn't happen, right? There's enough stuff going on in the market that it wouldn't be noticed by grandstanding politicians in DC. That did not work here in this instance. They issued this letter mere hours after this news went live, really showing how easy it is to score political points on Mark Zuckerberg's behind. So it was really shocking to see this happen. Thought they were going to slip this one under the radar. Thought they were going to get that one out here. They had no embargoes. This just went live. They just shipped it. We're doing it. It did not work. And now there's a bunch of senators who are super grumpy still at the idea of DM going live in some capacity. So I didn't think I would ever say this, but Libra has made me feel sympathy for Facebook in over these last few years. I shed a tear when I see stuff like this happen. It's very wild. It's very wild for me to feel that way now here in 2021. I saw Jen had her hand up, but I also saw Naomi wanted to chime in, so I'll let you two hash it out.
Jen, you go first.
Duke it out. Yeah, I wanted to just read something from the letter. They said that Facebook has proved they cannot be trusted to protect user data. Therefore, they should not manage a payments network. But how many payments networks have showed us that they cannot be trusted to protect user data? I can remember a few big data breaches in recent history, and I don't know what really came out of that. Those financial service offerers are still offering financial services. So I just don't know why Facebook is any different. But Naomi, off to you.
Hey, amen to that, Jen. The fact that JP Morgan has a hack every other week and all kinds of user data is just leaked out, but then the Senate's like, but Facebook, it makes me wonder if there are other reasons why they may not like Facebook out there. Just throw that tidbit out there. But I will say this was the most entertaining part of their letter. They said, to be clear, your ability to secure state-issued money transmitter licenses is not equivalent to obtaining the blessing of all US regulators, as you said in your testimony 2 years ago. So what now, as well as getting all of the licenses and jumping through all the official hoops, you have to go the unofficial route and get the blessing of all of these regulators who are like, my child, please go forth. This is the most stupidest, ridiculous things. Are they meant to go to Washington, D.C. and kiss the toes of all of these people who don't don't understand what cryptocurrency is. Like, these people, honestly, it makes me so angry to see them trying to control this inevitable future, which is government no longer having a monopoly on the money supply. And they're so terrified of a giant corporation like Facebook being able to, enable payment rails that are super cheap and super fast and super effective. And they really don't want that kind of competition out there. And they don't like Facebook in particular for political reasons. But it's just kind of crazy to see all this blowback, especially considering that there are wallets all over the world. There are companies all over the world who are doing the exact same thing, but it's Facebook that is not allowed to participate in this. But after that little bit of a rant, I'll throw it back to you, Zach.
I saw Will's hand, so I'm going to just lift it right up to him. Will, take it.
I'll grab it. No, I want to jump on Naomi's last point that the government doesn't want big corporations to get involved with this industry, but this industry is dominated by big corporations already, the Goldman Sachs and the JP Morgans of the world.
You have to have like the gold star, the blessing. Really it's the blessing, Will.
If you want to be involved, you really have to be lining the pocketbooks here. Also, like Facebook can't do it, but what if Apple came through and did something like this? Does public perception of these companies determine so much of what products they're allowed to launch? Like, that's moving into a very Orwellian world where you can't launch a product unless you have the blessing of the big seal. It just doesn't make sense to me on that front, because I think Apple would be able to get away with something like this. They might have questions, but the fact that Facebook has had so many problems in the past with like the data scandals and election scandals, I think it's made them to be in a point where they're not able to launch new products like this, or not able to launch a stable coin, even if it does have a lot of the transparency that comes along with using a public blockchain. They want to use ERC20 tokens, which is a very common token standard for stable coins. Very simple. All the data is public there. And they want to use that standard, but it doesn't even matter to these regulators because it's Facebook. Amy, I'll give it back to you, though, before we go to break.
Yeah, I think that point's super important to drill down on, Will, when you said that because they've had these data breaches in the past, they're not being trusted. That's such bollocks, because we've since then had Facebook in the Senate saying we are doubling down on privacy. We are doubling down on securing data. We're going to encrypt the chat of every user. We're going to encrypt everything. We're going to just do this at 180 and everything's going to be privacy focused. Do you know what the government did then? They didn't applaud them and said, thank goodness you're looking out for users' privacy. They fought them on that and wrote letters to them again and said, you are not allowed to release these products. You are not allowed to release end-to-end encrypted chat. You are not allowed to encrypt the data of these users. And so it doesn't matter what Facebook does, the government's still going to go after them. The government doesn't want them to be involved with money. They don't want them to block off the data, which the government obviously is collecting and is thankful for Facebook for harvesting. So it's just this crazy situation. So just don't listen to this rhetoric where the government, these politicians say that it's about protecting the citizens and protecting the data and, they can't be trusted, because they've proven through their actions that this has absolutely nothing to do with it.
Can't believe we defended Facebook this morning.
I know we all defended Facebook. Dirty. Not a single one of us.
Yeah.
Listen, credit where credit's due, and they really did try for that privacy push. So anytime a company really does try for that, we gotta give that credit. So we may not like other things, but definitely they did try.